Today, we're going to learn some key terms related to balances and buying power on ThinkorSwim. Now, this is obviously a pretty important thing to understand since it explicitly tells you how much money or leverage you have available to trade with. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, first off, you're going to be able to find all of this information within the account info widget, which is going to be built in as the top gadget in your side panel over here on the left. If you ever decide to minimize this side panel, so come down here and hit this little arrow, and as soon as we do that, all of that same information is going to move up here to the very top of the page. So right now, from left to right, you can see my current option buying power, my stock buying power, my Net Liq, my day trading buying power, and my cash and sweep vehicle right up here on the top. In order to customize that and edit what I have visible here, the information I have visible, we're going to come up here to the settings icon over here on the far right-hand side of the screen. And you can see that as soon as I clicked on that, a little customized gadget appeared over here on the left-hand side. And right here, we can see all of the current information I'm looking at over here on the right-hand side. And then over here on the left is all of the available information I could add. And if you scroll through here, there is a lot of stuff that you could have visible if you wanted to. If we instead wanted to customize our side panel view, let's go ahead and first cancel out of this one. We'll come back over here to the left and open up my side panel just by hitting that little arrow over here. Just like before, we can find the account info right up here at the top. And then in order to edit it, we're going to click on this little menu icon in the upper right-hand corner. And then just come down below and hit the Customize Gadget button. And then we're going to see the exact same window as before. Now, for the side panel, if you come back over here to the left, there's actually a few more columns in this one that you could add, more account information that you might want to keep track of. But if you look over here on my right-hand side, my current set, these are really the more important values that you're going to want to keep track of. And honestly, I would be surprised if more than a handful of you need to see anything else besides this. So since I have everything I need, let's go ahead and hit the cancel button and actually go through what each of those metrics really mean. Looking up here at the top, the very first term we're going to cover today is the Net Liq and day trades. That's going to stand for Net Liquidating Value. And in simple terms, Net Liq is the total value of your account if you were to close out all your positions at the current market prices. So it's essentially the sum of all the cash available in your account and the market value of all of your securities. So in essence, it's a snapshot of what your account is worth at any given moment. And if the market is open, like it is now, you're going to see that value changing constantly. So taking a closer look at this account, you can currently see it's worth a total of $115,624.36. But it's changing constantly because I've got a lot of stock and options in this account. And because those are changing constantly, so is this value. Next up, if we look right below there, we've got the cash and sweep vehicle. This is going to refer to all of the uninvested cash in your account, plus the cash that's been automatically swept into a linked money market fund or FDIC insured deposit account. So essentially, it's just your idle cash. How much money do you have in the account right now that you could spend to buy more stock with or withdraw if you wanted to? Now, in my case, you can actually see the number here is in parentheses. So this means I have a negative cash balance of $8,957.43, which also translates to my margin balance. So I am currently borrowing this amount from TD Ameritrade right now. So that's definitely an important one to keep an eye on because if you do not want to borrow money, make sure this number never becomes negative. Now, next up in the list here, we've got the option buying power, and you can probably guess, but this is the amount of money you have available to buy or sell options contracts. This is going to be different from buying stocks because options require a certain level of approval from your broker. And this approval level will ultimately determine how much buying power you have for options. So in this account, I currently have just over $50,000 to buy options with if I wanted to. So right this very second, I could go out there and buy $50,000 of Apple calls if I wanted to. If I was instead a seller, this is also going to apply to the short options. But it is a little bit more complicated since it's not a dollar for dollar value like the buying power for buying an option would be. So just for example, if I wanted to go out and buy a call and it was going to cost me $500 to do that, this option buying power number would decrease by $500. Exactly the cost of the trade, exactly the cost of the option, plus any commissions. So in this account specifically, we would see this option buying power number drop to $49,800 roughly, so exactly $500 lower than it currently is. Now, if we did that, we would also see my margin balance, so this number right up here, we would also see that increase by $500 as well. Since I don't have any cash, anything I buy is going to be on margin. If I instead sold an option, the amount of buying power that gets tied up is really going to depend on my option approval level. So assuming you don't have naked options approval, if you sold a 150 put on Apple, you're going to need $15,000 in option buying power to do that because that's the risk on the trade. If I decided to sell a 10-point wide credit spread and I just sold one of them, I'm going to have to hold up the risk on that trade. So in that case, the spread is $10 wide. I'm going to need $1,000 in option buying power to do that. But I don't want to spend too much time on just option buying power, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one on the list here, and that's going to be the stock buying power. This is going to be the amount of money available in your account to purchase marginable stocks. That's going to be stock like Apple, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, and really any company that you know the name of. This isn't going to be available for things like penny stocks or even stocks that are just incredibly volatile. So just as an example, right now if I wanted to, I could go out and buy $100,622 of Apple stock and I would be completely fine. Now again, if I did that, I would also be increasing my margin balance by $100,000, but I could do it if I wanted to. Now whether or not you can use this full amount to buy a particular stock is really going to depend on ThinkorSwim's margin department. You might only be able to use a portion of this for certain stocks if the broker is worried that it's too volatile. And I know that sounds confusing, but just keep in mind that this is the full amount of buying power available to buy stock and hold overnight. And it's also worth noting that if you actually use this full amount, if I were to actually go out and buy $100,000 of stock right now, I'm putting myself right on the edge of a margin call. So if I were to do that and then the stocks in my account were to start moving in the wrong direction, I could end up getting a margin call pretty much immediately. But that's definitely an important one to keep an eye on. And next up down here, we've got the day trading buying power. This is going to be specifically for those of you interested in day trading and you have more than $25,000 in your account. This number is going to refer to the maximum amount of capital that you can deploy in one day for day trading. It's generally going to be a lot higher than your regular stock buying power. And remember, this stock buying power can be held overnight. So I could theoretically go out there and buy $100,000 of Apple right now and hold it indefinitely, assuming Apple doesn't go against me, but I could theoretically hold that forever. On the other hand, if we were to come down here and buy $288,000 worth of Apple, I could not hold that overnight. This value right here is for day trading purposes only. So if I were to buy $288,000 worth of Apple, I would need to close out the majority of that position by the end of the day to remain in good standing. Now, if I didn't sell like I'm supposed to and I held that position overnight, I am going to be issued a day trading call in the morning, and I'm probably going to get hit with a penalty for breaking the rules as well. If I end up doing that too many times, they're just going to remove it from my account entirely, and I'm no longer going to be able to access day trading buying power, even if I wanted to. So just be careful with this one. It is a very big number. It is a whole lot of leverage. You got to be really careful with it. Now, the very final one on the list here, and probably the least important, but that one's going to be the available funds for trading. The reason I say it's not that important is because it's pretty much going to always be identical to the option buying power. These are almost always going to be the exact same number. Really, the only time that they're going to be slightly different is if you recently deposited money into your account, because that money can be used right away for things like penny stocks, but it can't be used right away for things like options. So basically, this is going to be the amount of money you have available for non-marginable securities, things like penny stocks. Again, it's pretty much the same as option buying power, so for me, I usually just remove it from this panel, but it's nice to know it's here. But that's going to be the end of our list, and hopefully that helps some of you out there who are trying to get more comfortable with the buying power figures in here and just understanding the leverage available for those of you with margin accounts. I know it was a lot, so if you are looking to learn more, check out this video next, and please let me know if there's anything else you guys would like me to discuss in future videos. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you on the next one.